Welcome to Takeaway.
Woo! We got a video from NFL on ESPN on the takeaway. Take it, Coach.
All right.
The
NFL
gang is
draft
all together
countdown.
here. Lewis Riddick, Booger McFarland, of course, Mel Kiper Jr., the man who invented the draft. And Mel, the draft conversation starts, as usual, with the
not a Mel
top
Kiper
quarterback.
fan,
So
but
what are
let's
the
go
most
with it.
important things we need to know about Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders?
Well, Cam Ward, explosive arm strength, can make every throw. He's a gunslinger. He's a guy who can throw it all over the yard, cut down on the sacks, cut down on the fumbles. Incarnate Word, Washington State, and then Miami put it all together this year, had an outstanding season. Like I say, all the different arm angles, 17 rushing touchdowns as well over the last 3 years. That's why Cam Ward, the wow factor, he has it. Who's a traditional drop back pocket passer? That would be Shedeur Sanders, a guy I love at the quarterback spot. You can win from the pocket. You can be old school. They're not dinosaurs, guys. Shedeur Sanders, his accuracy, his toughness, everything about him I love. And
What's that?
Do you agree with his commentary? You like a pocket passer,
never.
right? Huh?
No, I don't at all.
agree with it?
I never agree with anything that Mel Kiper says. I'm just going to be straight with you. Most of the time, he's garbage commentary. But, we'll listen to him here. But no, Sanders is Deion's kid. You think that dude's a pocket passer? No, that dude's going to run. He's going to try to act like he's Lamar Jackson, and he's not. But that's what he's going to try to do.
That's what everyone's trying to do in the NFL, right? Be Lamar.
That's right. That dude is not going to be a pocket passer. I'm sorry.
I think his arm's going to get stronger. It's been proven. Once you're in the NFL, your arm does get stronger. All those attributes is exactly what you need to be a surgeon in that pocket and win from the pocket. Like I say, old school, traditional way. Shedeur Sanders, to me, may end up being a tremendous value pick. Who knows where he'll land, but he may present great value when he comes off the board.
You're talking about a value pick. This dude's going to go in the first round because he's a quarterback. So, and which gives you that fifth-year option, right? When you do all that, that's the only value that you're really going to have. But like a value pick, like my thing with him is this: he can go anywhere from like a top 5 pick to probably all the way down to 21, where Pittsburgh is. We don't know where this kid's going to fall.
Exactly.
So we'll see what he has to say.
Those words specifically chosen in honor of the New York Giants.
Yep.
So look, I think if Cam Ward doesn't go 1, it'll be one of the great surprises that we've seen in recent memory.
Yeah.
Shedeur Sanders, the possibilities seem pretty much endless. Where does he come off on your board?
Look, I think the Giants will pass on him. I think he does become someone who then becomes a guy who's in play once you start talking about the 6-7 range. When you're talking about the Raiders, you're talking about the Jets. Both of those situations are where, look, they have quarterbacks who really are bridge quarterbacks. Look, Geno is someone you probably could project to play somewhere at 3 or 4 more years at a high level. We'll see what Justin Fields does at the Jets. It's probably a 1-year deal, for all intents and purposes, and then they'll reevaluate it again in 2026. I don't think you can just throw those two teams out the window. And then obviously the wild card being the Saints there at 9, the Steelers at 21.
He's going to go somewhere.
It's a wide range for him right now. That's what makes this so intriguing, because we can't really get a feel for how team to team really value this young man.
I think 6 is interesting because of the intimate knowledge that Tom Brady had and being kind of his mentor. Obviously 7 with the Jets. I think if he gets out of that top 10, I think 21 at Pittsburgh is something that's going to be really interesting because we know they need a quarterback. And I don't think in their mind they could have envisioned that the second best quarterback in the draft by most people would fall down to number 21. And I think they would almost be kind of forced to take him there at 21.
I think he'll be
Now,
at
final
21.
thought from you, and I'll remind anyone who's not
Yeah, I mean, on my mock, I got him at 21 going to Pittsburgh. But we'll see.
where Mel has Shedeur Sanders as his
That's what
top
they say.
quarterback in
I
this
mean, I
class.
didn't know that, but
Yeah, the Giants pass on Shedeur can come back to haunt them, no question about it. In that division, you got to get the quarterback some way. In the first 2 rounds, they're getting a quarterback. There's no question there. They had a great draft, the Giants did last year, but they made some big mistakes, offensive, defensive players they let go. They are going to.
I'm interested in the 3rd and 4th pick because, these teams that need quarterbacks early, they could probably get a good quarterback early in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
Pass on Shedeur. Then you got the Raiders.
Yeah, like the Giants and even the Cleveland Browns, if they want to take a quarterback, like get the best player that you
Of course
possibly
the Browns
can.
want a quarterback. They always take a quarterback.
They always need one.
Well, not convinced they wouldn't take him if he were there. Brady connection. And then the Saints at 9, I think, is as far as he drops.
And I want you to make sure you're familiar with our draft day predictor. What it does is it estimates the chance that a player will be available at a certain moment in the draft, a certain pick, and it uses a variety of data, including mock drafts and scouting rankings and team needs. So let's talk about the Steelers. They pick at 21. It's essentially no chance Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders will still be available by the time we get to 21. But
that's interesting. Like, really, they don't think Shedeur Sanders has a chance of dropping to 21?
They don't, but you do. You do, Coach.
I do. I do think that he has a chance. I mean, that's where I have him on my mock, because when you're talking about a top 10 player, I mean, I know the league reaches for quarterbacks, but I think taking Shedeur Sanders in the top 10 is a reach, in my opinion. I've looked at his film. I've seen what he's capable of doing. He looks slow in a lot of different aspects about his release. I don't know. I don't grade him that high. I think he is a first-round guy. I just don't think he's a top 10 pick. And if you get out of the top 10, what I do agree with is I think he falls to 21.
But all these teams that are quarterback needy, they're going to be looking for the best there is in the draft, right? What is the best QB I can get in the draft, right, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but like, I think Jackson Dart's not that far off. I even think Tyler Stroud.
I loved watching him throw. I watched him.
Yeah, and if you can get them at the beginning of the second round, why wouldn't you take like an elite type of player in the first round and think like, hey, one of these quarterbacks will fall to you in the second round?
Yeah.
There was a 2 in 3 chance.
Elite quarterback.
Jackson Dart is, and it is a virtual certainty that Tyler Shuck will be available. So let's talk about these quarterbacks. For the folks who don't know them well, Booger, what should they know about Jackson Dart?
He does a lot of things well, Greeny, but nothing great. I think when you look at the Ole Miss offense that Lane Kiffin put out on the field, Jackson Dart was able to manage that offense. Very accurate quarterback. I wanted him, every time you watch him, just speed it up just a little bit. Quicker process a little bit quicker, throw the ball a little bit better. But overall, Greeny, again, one of those quarterbacks that does a lot of things well, but when it comes to the special stuff that you expect from a quarterback that you're going to take in the first round, I was just left wanting a little bit more of that specialness. Doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but you don't need to if you can anticipate throws.
Look at me an early second round guy.
Look,
the boy did his job.
The Giants are going to get one of these two guys
down there in Louisville this past year.
He did his job.
And Brian Brom, two of the very best in all of college football as far as developing quarterbacks.
He did his job.
This guy has ideal measurables.
He's got how to put the ball where it
and athleticism that, quite honestly, is underrated.
I actually think he probably I like Stroud so much.
He's a guy who has an injury history going back to his days at Oregon and at Texas Tech.
Like, I would put him.
I'll be honest, Coach. I watched the film on him during the what do you call those things where they at the combine, and I wasn't impressed. His game film, in my opinion, is better than what he did at the combine.
Yeah, but
I'm telling you, a bit off. And that film review, it was solid, right? But
I think he's an NFL. I think he's NFL ready, and he's been in 3 systems already in college. 3 different systems, which means he has a higher football IQ and can pick up systems. Right. And this guy here can make the throws. He's probably a little slow also on his release, which is not great. But like, if you're willing to develop a guy, like, and you're looking for a solid guy who's probably going to be there in the second round.
Yeah,
he's a guy we're taking a shot on.
Yeah, I would totally take a shot on him in the second round. Absolutely, I agree. Yeah.
Some of that had to do with the fact that because of that athleticism, he was run a lot. In particular,
I mean, think about this. Think about this for a second. How many times in modern history has a quarterback, a top 5 quarterback in a particular draft class, gone in the second round? It doesn't happen normal. People reach for those guys.
Yeah.
And they usually get burned by them. But I think if you're patient, you might come out with an okay developmental project.
Or reach for Brady in the 5th. Right?
Yeah, we got Kirk. Well, Brady was a 6th, but you had Kirk Cousins out was a 4th.
Yeah, sorry. So
yeah, and then Kirk Cousins was a 4th round pick. I mean, he turned out all right. There's guys that
he turned out to be the money man. He's the money man.
When he was at Texas Tech, But he is a guy who's going to wow you when he gets to the NFL, and he will be ready to go much sooner than you think.
He ran a 4.6, so I mean he can motor, but he's 25 years old, will be 26 during the season for whatever that is worth. So, Mel, as you have projected all of these, where do you see these two, Dart and Chuck, coming off the board?
I think Dart goes somewhere in the first round. I thought as a hunch, 9 to the Saints. I know Lewis thinks that's way too high, but I do think he goes in the first round. Tyler Shuck's Lewis's guy. Has been raving about him for a couple months, even dating back to the season. But I think when you look at these two, Tyler Shuck's almost as old as Chris Winkie was coming out of Florida State. Doesn't mean anything. He's going to be 26 during the season, but the injury.
Well, I'm going to disagree with him. I don't think Dart's going to go in the first round. I think he's probably going to be. He's going to go in the top 5 picks of the second round.
Yeah,
and I think Shaw will be right behind him.
Yeah, this is a defensive draft year.
Yeah, it's very heavy.
Quarterbacks are on the back seat this year.
Quarterbacks, wide receivers. There's a lot of these guys that there just is not enough. Like you said, it's not a real big offensive draft class, but there's a lot of defensive players in this draft class.
Oh my Lord, so much, and every team needs them. So, yeah,
which is almost drastically different than what last year's draft class was, which is
completely opposite, right?
Yeah.
History, he did improve. He had a heck of a year. He's an LTPer at the quarterback position. He looks the part. Tyler Shuck does. So when you look at him, he's one of those guys, borderline, late first, early seconds.
That's a guy I pick up from my backup
Shuck there.
Yeah, see, that's a guy I would pick up like for the Giants, right? Like if you're Giants and you got that early second round pick, right? Because I'm not looking at their actual draft class, but they should have the 3rd pick in the second round, unless they traded it out. But if they're at that spot, right, what a wonderful position to say, okay, I'm going to pick up a quarterback here that I'm going to develop. I'm going to let him compete. Chances are he's going to be my initial backup. I can let him sit and develop for a year because you're building for the future. All right. And I think it'd just be an excellent play. That way you can go get an elite player of either the corner or the edge or excuse me, the linebacker that's up there in the top 3, right? So we both know who all those are guys, right? So like, I mean, we can make.
Yeah, but
get a top 5 pick when you got a top 5 pick.
We got some great second and third round candidates here, so I'm not disagreeing with the ESPN completely, but.
I don't disagree with ESPN. I just disagree with their decision to have Mel Kiper on the show. But like, I'm not a Mel Kiper fan at all. I'm just not. I don't. That guy's more wrong than anything, and for some reason he keeps a job every year, and he's been doing it for decades.
I love you, Coach.
But anyway, all right. Let's listen a little bit more. Let's see what they have to say.
Somewhere in round 1.
Does that feel like it sort of screams of a team that has a selection early in round 2,
sure does.
Trading up into that late round 1, you get the extra year, all that sort of thing?
Yeah, if that's what your philosophy is, if you feel as though, hey, look, this is a guy who's worth taking a gamble on in the first, trading back into the first so we can get that extra year, absolutely he fits the bill. If you get him top of the second, I think you're getting an absolute steal.
Booger, find yourself someone who loves you the way Lewis loves Tyler Shuck.
All right, I think we can probably wrap it up right there because, like, I think these guys will probably be second round picks. What I'm going to be most interested in, obviously, they're going to be on our draft board, right? We're going to be watching these guys. What I think is going to be very interesting is Friday. Friday is day 2 of the draft, and when they kick it off Friday, it's going to be interesting because the true quarterback needy teams, if these 2 guys are really still on the board, they're going to want to move up into those.
Yeah.
Early ones that say, I want a quarterback right here. And you can have a team
like
right,
Coach. That's right, Coach. I agree, Coach. I agree totally.
Jets, Raiders, Saints. Steelers could potentially be there if they don't take if Solomon's not there, right? Then they might go, hey, it could be the Browns, it could be the Giants. All these teams could be like playing there when these guys, and they might get a little itchy if those guys are still on.
Oh yeah. Totally agree. Well,
and that I think is our takeaway.
All right, we got the takeaway, Coach. Thank you so much.
All right.
Keep tuning in. We'll keep reviewing stuff when it's out there.